Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you from the nation's capital in Abuja. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning, where we bring you analysis and perspectives on issues that you need to know about to make informed decisions as far as Nigeria and its development is concerned. Thank you for joining us.
Definitely, Nigeria's development is paramount and should be at the forefront of everybody's mind. Welcoming you to Daybreak on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Now, talking about development, today being 14th of December 2022 is maybe 24 hours before we see the new currency in circulation, as promised by the Central Bank of Nigeria. We've heard in the past few days that the monies have been sent to the various banks across the country, so we're expecting to see the new naira. Are you excited about that?
Well, yes. Well, we should be excited about a new thing, I mean, like something that is new, and definitely we are looking forward to it. I mean, like we've been drumming up the entrance for a very long time, so it's kind of nice to feel it.
Yes, and hopefully it does. The things that the central bank says it will help us to do economically, because our economy is in such a very bad state right now that we need policies that can revamp the economy.
Exactly, not just the aesthetics, changing the currency, changing how it looks, bringing in something new, at least let it have an impact. And we hope, they have said it's going to have one. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Did you see the viral video that went viral, the viral video yesterday where stash of cash in bags? You know, I think I overheard something maybe in Benue State somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, a huge amount of money.
Stashes of cash.
And damaged.
Completely.
You know, so
I mean, it's bags really and bags of it.
Yeah, and I think that this policy is long overdue anyways, since before the announcement of this policy, we're not seeing these videos.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden we started seeing videos, you know, like this and all that, just to say that, you know, a lot of cash is out there, not even in use, you know, not in the economy, just stashed somewhere
not in banks,
being damaged and all that.
Exactly, which could have made a very big difference to the economy had it was in circulation.
Truly. All right, now let's take a look at the headlines this morning. Tinubu is Buhari's successor, Adamu declares.
Yuletide, FG permits Nigerians with expired passports to return home.
Thames bags nomination for Golden Globe Awards for Black Panther in soundtrack.
All right, now let's go to the details. Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, has declared that the party's presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, is President Muhammadu Buhari's successor. Now, he made the declaration at the Northwest Presidential Campaign Rally of the APC in Kaduna on Tuesday. Senator Adamu said the flood of human beings that attended the rally showed the popularity of the party. He further thanked party loyalists from Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, Sokoto and Kaduna for coming out in huge numbers to attend the rally. In his remarks, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna said the APC had set the standard with a large crowd as he thanked all those that came out to grace the occasion, particularly women and youth.
The federal government of Nigeria has approved that Nigerians returning home can be admitted into the country with their expired Nigerian passports. This is contained in a letter from the Controller General of the Immigration Service, Issa Jere Idris, addressed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and dated 9th of December 2022. All head of missions, immigration attachés, airports, controllers and airlines were copied in the letter with reference number NIS CGI FD 208/20 and signed by DCI BM Lawal, a special assistant to the Controller General of Immigration Service Foreign Desk. The fast-track passport process for this Yuletide season commenced a few weeks ago with the opening of passport offices on Saturday. The NIS said this group of people have until 31st of January 2023 to enjoy this service.
And to entertainment now, where Nigerian singer and songwriter Temilade Openi, fondly known as Tems, has been revealed as one of the nominees of the Golden Globe Awards. Now, Thames was nominated due to her songwriting efforts in the song Lift Me Up, a track from Marvel Entertainment's recently released movie Wakanda Forever. The Nigerian music star was nominated under the Best Original Song category alongside Rihanna, Ryan Coogler and Ludwig Göransson. The news was also disclosed by Marvel Studios' Twitter page, where they complimented the artists on their efforts. Now, this isn't the first time Thames would be nominated for an international award in 2022. The singer was nominated for the BET Awards, American Music Awards, and the Popular Grammy Awards.
All right, now let's take a look at some of the packages we have this morning. As high cost of living continue to take toll deep into the people's earnings, residents of Kano who cannot afford Irish potato that costs much find alternative in sweet potatoes. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril reports that Irish potato has jumped to as high as 130,000 naira per bag compared to 11,000 naira for the sweet potato. Take a look.
This is called Yankaba Market in Kano, from where Irish potato arrives by the truckloads. But not anymore, as traders say its price has gone as high as 130,000 naira per bag, the worst in over 30 years. Honestly, the business of Irish potato is not going well these days, both between the buyers and the sellers. Everything is terrible. But people are talking about because of the high cost of diesel that we use in transporting the Irish from different parts of the country, that contributed to make it even worse. And then it's not its season. I can tell you that as of last week, we sold one bag of Irish potato at the cost of 110,000 naira. But today, as I'm talking to you, we are selling one bag at the cost of 130,000 naira. But with the high cost of Irish potato, the Dakata sweet potato market is now booming, as the products arrives here by the truckloads on daily basis. The price here is cheaper, and traders say it's affordable. You know, the price of sweet potato is seasonal. Before now, we used to sell it at 7,000, 6,000, and even 8,000. But nowadays, we are selling it at about between 8,000, 9,000, 11,000, up to 12,000, depending on how it comes from the farm. Sweet potato is sold at between 10 to 11,000 naira per bag, compared to about 7,000 naira before now. And it can go in quantity as low as 100 naira, depending on what the buyers want. Sweet potato that you are seeing, I have that of 300 naira, 200 naira, 100 naira. But that of 100 naira has been sold. They have already bought it out. Although sweet potato is cheaper, but with the Irish potato becoming more and more scarce and highly expensive, there are growing concerns that the price of sweet potato could equally go high in the next coming days. Idris Jibril, Trust TV News, Kano.
All right, and now the federal government has taken a swipe at the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar over his criticism of President Muhammadu Buhari's regime handling of the Boko Haram insurgency. Now, Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party, had in a town hall last week expressed dismay over the festering activities of the northeast-based terrorists since their breakout in 2009. Abubakar was quoted as saying that he could not understand the Boko Haram phenomenon and wondered why Boko Haram continued to operate. The report.
In a reaction on Tuesday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the former vice president should throw the question to his party, PDP, under whose watch the Boko Haram insurgency started in 2009 and festered. The minister gave the response at a briefing in Abuja.
For 6 years, until 2015, when our administration assumed office and inherited Boko Haram, the PDP more or less nurtured the insurgents to the monster they later became. Alhaji Atiku should ask his party why it allowed Boko Haram to operate freely bombing cities, motor parks, schools, and other soft targets unrestrained. Alhaji Atiku, who was then residing in Abuja before porting to his new abode in Dubai, should ask his party, the PDP, why it allowed Boko Haram to bomb the police headquarters, the UN complex, a shopping mall, and motor parks in Abuja with such ease.
At the briefing, where the Minister of Power, Aliyu Abubakar, who gave the scorecard of the ministry in the past 7 years.
We have executed the most successful metering program, post-privatization, with 1 million meters rolled out in the first phase of the National Mass Metering Program. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NAG, were fundamental in designing and implementing this program. We are perfecting plans for an additional 6 million meters under the second and third phases of the program that will commence in the first quarter and second quarters of 2023, respectively.
The Minister of Power also said the ministry under President Muhammadu Buhari has changed the narrative in the power sector from consumption spending to a real infrastructure spending.
A total of 105 power transformer projects were completed during the period 2015 to now, adding a capacity of 6,216 MVA to the grid, with 73 of the power transformers installed by TCN engineers in substations across the nation.
The briefing was launched in October to showcase and document achievements of the Buhari administration. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
All right, now early child education, according to educators, helps to build a child's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional proficiency, which will prepare them for life challenges, which shows its importance. In this report, Noel Sampson looks at how important early education is and the ways it could be improved in the country. Take a look.
Children who are enrolled in an early childhood education program are believed to achieve more success at school. As adults, they are said to have better career opportunities, improved health, and lower level of dependency and crime rates than those who do not attend an early education program. Hence, the need for it to be encouraged.
Early childhood education is the most important of all the stages of education. It's at that point that children form the foundation and the basis for learning. And so education is not just about school, it's about learning. So they do both in school and out of school learning. So for me, any serious nation, any serious institution must invest in early childhood education, because if you get it wrong there, then the foundation is actually destroyed. So there's really nothing you can do there. In
Nigeria, many are divided on the issue of accessibility to early childhood education.
Basic education to an average Nigerian is not as accessible as it should be, because we have cases of the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is like 19.3 million. We have one of the highest numbers.
Basic education is accessible to all Nigerians. That is why government take it as pain upon them to build schools all over the places. You know, any schools, from a pole to another pole or a village to a village, you must see primary school there.
Some Nigerians suggest ways in which it could be made more accessible.
Government is on it already. Basic education can be accessible to all. One, by making the primary school education free for every child.
We have discovered that this homegrown school feeding, you understand, it has really increased the enrollment of pupils in our schools. So this is an instrument that has even actually helped pupils to increase their enrollment.
One of the major things we can do to make early childhood education more accessible in Nigeria is to actually even invest. Or first thing is to admit that there's a problem in that sector, because it seems like nobody's looking at that side of education. And so first is to admit, second is to deliberately plan programs, and also to support even NGOs doing the work around early childhood education, for instance, to encourage them to do more work.
A child's early years are the foundation for his or her future development and provide a strong base for lifelong learning and learning abilities. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to politics now, where the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has pledged to address security and economic challenges bedeviling the North if elected president come 2023. Tinubu made the pledge during a presidential rally in Kaduna on Tuesday. The report.
Addressing the party supporters at the Kaduna rally, the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu said, addressing the challenges of the North will enable the region witness development in all spheres.
To remain loyal to our country, you will never regret it. Inshallah, all those troublemakers, violent kidnappers, killers, all troublemakers, security. I assure you, we will eliminate them.
Earlier, the chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, and the director general of the APC presidential campaign and governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, urged people of the Northwest and the North in general to vote APC for economic prosperity of the region. For prosperity, development, and security of the North, I urge all of you to vote for APC and Aswaju in 2023 election for the continuation of the good work started by President Muhammadu Buhari. Aswaju has the capacity and the competency to lead the nation. He has good plans for women and youth. National chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, handed over flags to presidential candidate of the party, Bola Tinubu, Kaduna APC governorship candidate Obasani, and other candidate of the State and National Assembly. Security agencies and vigilante groups were deployed in and around the venue of the rally to ensure the safety of the crowd. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
All right, now the People's Democratic presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has pledged to restore peace and improve economic activities in Plateau State. And Abubakar, who made this known on Tuesday at the presidential rally of his party in Jos, also said that if elected, he will ensure his administration sees to the restructuring of the federal roads linking Plateau and other neighboring states. Ado Musa reports.
The presidential rally, which held at the Ruampan Stadium, drew supporters of the party from within and outside the states, including some PDP governors. While addressing party supporters, Atiku said if elected president, he will restore peace and confidence in the state.
I have been a resident in this state for the past 28 years. We have promised that we will restore peace in this state. We will also revamp the economy of this state. We will also make sure this state is connected to the neighboring states as far as road infrastructures are concerned. APC has neglected all the roads connecting Plateau with other states in the country. We promise, because you are a PDP state, we promise we will make sure these roads are rehabilitated. We will revamp the economy. We will bring about peace and prosperity, particularly to our young men and women.
In his remark, the PDP national chairman, Iocha Ayu, called on the people of the state to vote PDP to rebuild the country.
The people of Nigeria, and that is you. When you left PDP, PDP left you, and you started suffering. Do you want PDP to come back? Will you live again? And therefore,
I want to thank you for coming out in such large numbers, because this party is going to rebuild the party and rebuild the country.
Various dignitaries at the rally, including governors, also affirmed that if Atiku voted into power, he will ensure that peace, infrastructure, and other economic activities are top priorities of his administration. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has again said that if voted into power next year, his administration will move Nigeria from a consumer to a producing nation. Obi disclosed this on Tuesday while addressing supporters during a campaign rally at the Confluence Stadium, Lokoja, in Kogi State. The Labour Party presidential candidate stated that it is a promise he had vowed to keep once he assumes power via the forthcoming presidential election in the country. Obi added that his team is not in the state to buy votes, but to tell the voters how he is prepared to save the country. However, he promised to ensure that the moribund federal government iron and steel industry at Ajaokuta is revived to give a strong backing to the economy.
All right, now we'll take a short breather, and then when we return, Daybreak continues. Join us again. Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Really, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
somewhere you find that a party look at the same.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak on Trust Television. Time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We have in the studio Ben Sherman, the Director of News Voice of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you for having me.
I would say counting down to the days of retirement.
Honestly, yes. And,
how does
I
it
think
feel, really?
my office has a small do for me. Today, I said that
I can see you're all well dressed with your
well, at least
buga.
to honor them, to honor myself.
Exactly.
Because January 1st, I'll be 30, and of course, I hang the gloves. I'll quit what they call this usual. I'll no longer be a director news.
Yes. But you'll still be here. I mean, you'll still be coming around for us.
Well, you see, journalism is like, how do I call it? I mean, you can't run away from it. Like Shogun Oshoba, the former governor of Ogun State, will say, anywhere he appears, you say, my name is Shogun Oshoba, a reporter. Even as a governor, he will tell you that. So we need people who are proud of their profession. We need guys who will say, I am a teacher. I am a journalist.
Yes.
And, you know, those days that they just saw journalists as someone with a small jota, with a biro, and nothing else. Just give him some things in one small envelope. We used to have one.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as we do the countdown, we are looking forward to coming around to come and, I mean, hear from, you know, the wisdom of the elders.
Exactly.
Gone ahead of us,
exactly.
You know, and they eat some rice, you know, and
in the process.
Absolutely.
Some juice,
but that you have to come to my village, because my village sent me to the city. I have to report back to them and say, you brought me to the village, you took me to the village, now I'm back. You know.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the headlines. We begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. We start with the lead story there. It says, election spending, politicians move to bypass cash withdrawal limit. It has the riders that says, chieftains collect agents' account details in Nasarawa. Presidential candidates to spend 1.8 billion naira on agents each. APC mum as PDP LP kick. It won't affect our campaigns. NNPP PRP. Policy will force a change. That's according to activists. You'll find all the details on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, you would also find below that the pictorial shows you people besiege the Independent National Electoral Commission FCT office in Abuja as the collection of PVCs begins. You also see beside that $2 billion power grid maintenance expansion ongoing, says the federal government. That's on page 8. And shareholders approve Dangote Cement's share buyback, and that's on page 42. Tinubu in Kaduna vows to eliminate bandits, on page 14. Southeast, PVC's collection in slow start amid rising insecurity, on page 3. Woman arraigned for assaulting police officer, on page 37. Malami committee working to recover stamp duties, says the presidency, on page 4. I will restore peace, improve mining in Plateau, Atiku says, on page 14. These are the major stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, next we'll take a look at the leadership newspaper this morning, and it goes political with its major story. 2023, Atiku, Tinubu, Obi unveil economic security packages. That is on page 4, and it comes with riders here that says, I'll eliminate kidnappers, killers troubling Nigeria. That is from Asiwaju. And PDP candidate promises to fix bad roads, revive Kura power plant in Plateau. FG slams Atiku over comments on Boko Haram's existence, and we will save Nigeria from collapse, says the Labour Party flag bearer. And still some more stories on leadership newspaper. Job loss, youth protest planned closure of One Chevron base. That is on page 23. And talking sports, Messi sends Argentina to Qatar 2022 final. Going towards the top of the front page of the Leadership newspaper, Kenya's Raila Odinga to speak at Leadership Conference and Awards. And at the very top of the front page, scorecard. Nigeria now supplies 8,000 megawatts of electricity. That is according to the minister. And INEC rules burning of offices and apathy to PVC collection. Details of that can be found on page 8. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of the Leadership newspaper.
All right, now on the Punch newspaper, the lead story talks about 2023, says INEC vows persecution of voters' card buyers and sellers. You'd also find Commission insists on beavers to combat PVC fraud. Police working with INEC to track riggers. Force headquarters. You'd also find mass rallies, that's above the masthead there, mass rallies on local government autonomy to hold Tuesday. My life in danger, ex-Ekiti Speaker petitions IG. Nigeria leads in yam production, exports none. That's according to the federal government. And then you'd find also at a footnote, Senate postpones hearing on cash withdrawal limits. Fake soldiers in court for terrorizing Lagos communities. Majestic Messi secures Argentina World Cup final sport. And then you also find reps direct NNPC to end petrol scarcity. These are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Next, we'll take a look at The Nation, and it carries this major headline on the front page. Banks get marching order to sell off Disco's shares. And, of course, we have a rider-said government explains sack of core investors and targets 22,000 megawatts. Now, that's the major story on the front page of The Nation. You'll find towards the bottom of the page there, Tinubu promises to end banditry, terrorism in Northwest. And at the very bottom of the front page, CBN abuse Naira and go to jail. Obi promises to end stealing in government. At the very top of the front page there, above the masthead, with Ayu in office, no deal with Atiku, and this is attributed to Wike. How to end petrol crisis by reps, and it comes with a rider here that says agencies to urge to partner. Oyetola, I did not hire 12,000 workers in Oshun, and 14 persons, 22 cows die in road crash. Details of that can be found on page 2. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of The Nation newspaper.
All right, now on this day newspaper, the lead story says, Wike, I would have won PDP primary if it weren't manipulated. You also have the rider says, insist he doesn't have any rift with Atiku. You also have ex-VP Okoa PDP governors salute Rivers governor at 55. At the top, at the very top, you'd find U.S.-Africa Summit. Buhari restates 30 gigawatts electricity target by 2030. Nuclear fusion. Scientists announce major limitless clean energy breakthrough. Aleke, that's below the masthead now. Aleke, Onanuga's allegations, Ogbagbena clears air, challenges them to present their candidate for debate. Also, Obi in Kogi pledges to make Nigeria producing nation. These are the stories on this day newspaper. And let's also take a look at the Blueprint newspaper. The lead story, after restructuring Discos, Nigeria goes for $550 million World Bank lifeline for electricity distribution. Also, Tinubu promises industrial revolution. Atiku to restore peace in Plateau. Dwindling economy, federal workers demand 30% salary stimulus within 14 days. I have no personal issues with Atiku, Wike insists. Unknown gunmen abduct woman in Rivers State. All right, now let's get more perspectives on this. Like we told you, we have a guest reviewer, Ben Chema, in the studio. Thanks again for joining. Now let's talk about the lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper. This cashless policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the withdrawal limits that has been put on, monies in the coming months, politicians seem to be devising other means of going about, running their activities. Initially, there was the fear that, okay, there was the confidence that this could help check the issue of vote buying and the rest of them. Now, the story is saying that politicians are making moves to bypass this cash withdrawal limit. Are you confident that this policy will achieve what it set out to achieve, really?
I'm confident up to maybe 90% when it comes to checking election spending, campaign funds. If really the authorities will stick to their gun. Those days that the moment you see a convoy of politicians, virtually every booth has hard currency, has local currency to settle, buy votes, sway votes, buy security, influence election administrators. You see, that is truly going to reduce if really they stick to it. And I think the timing, as far as I'm concerned, is right. Why should money actually be the determinant of the electoral process in Nigeria? If, yes, you need fuel money, you need to pay venue, pay this, pay that, these are things you ought to do. But when it comes to now paying the voter, buying voters' card, and I pray that all of that will be a nullity, because going by the voting pattern, the machine will have to tally with some of your fingerprints, will have to tally with even your face to ensure that you vote. Now, are you going to scuttle the process when some people are already saying, look, there will be no electricity to charge, phone charge the system and all that? INEC is saying they are capable. GSM service providers are saying they are capable. So why are the politicians fearing? And if one can stay in a village and send money to the city, you can as well vote in the village, and my vote will count, will be registered in the city. So I think that these checks and balances brought by CBN is going to be a good thing in terms of how not to corrupt the electoral process or corrupt the election itself. So let them cry, but if you're now saying, okay, we want to buy, you could be buying a commodity that you will not use.
Regardless of the commendations that we have heard, on this cashless policy, we are seeing that members of the National Assembly are kicking against this. They are supposed to, as a matter of fact, have an interaction with the CBN governor. Is there a likelihood of reversing this? Do you see this?
You see, I don't foresee it. It will simply be a resolution whereby resolve. We condemn this in totality and that and that and that. In the end, resolutions are never just, they are not the laws. They can't make a law now to ensure that between now and the 15th of this month and up to when elections will come and go. I believe when the elections are over, there's going to be a relax of this policy. And so I don't foresee that anything will change. They'll argue their own point. Yes, the CBN will argue its own point. And of course, we'll move forward. If really they are pro-people, pro-human beings, I mean human beings, I think that they should allow it be. Let the CBN have this. So when they say limit as to how much you withdraw, I mean, why are you insisting? If, however, there are some big companies that will need some money to run this country, I mean, there should be some waivers for them, of which, yes, there is or there are. But when you now say individuals who indeed are politically exposed persons, that with the moment, oh, so politician has come, people troop in because they know money will just be released. And you see the way people, sometimes they carry this and fling. I still remember the very sad photo at the point when the governor of Zamfara State visited a military checkpoint or military area, security area, and he was busy flinging money to soldiers, and they were rushing to grab. That was a very bad image for this country. I think if we needed to give the soldiers something, look for their commander and just say, "Hi, gentlemen, you have given commander 5 million for all of you. Thank you for the job well done." But when you begin to fling it, even in a political rally,
it looks undignified.
Honestly, we have brought disrespect. It's so mean. I mean, it's deriding to bring them to that level.
Okay, well, all right, well, stepping away slightly away from that, but you did mention something in regards to that when we talk about PVCs and elections and the rest of it. PVC collection has started, and we've got reports of it being bedeviled by one or two issues here and there, from logistics to the unavailability of the PVCs to be the offices being understaffed and all that. And we're seeing in the Daily Trust now, they're reporting that it has gone off to a very slow start, especially in the southeast, where there are security challenges. Do you see this playing a major role when it comes to the PVC collection and, of course, subsequently the election in that area?
Sure, it has to affect it, especially the security situation. I was looking at some television footages, different television stations. At the point, they show some areas where the people were collecting PVCs. In some states, move to another by way of comparison. But when it reached Abia State, I mean, you could just see some people seated waiting for people to go collect. I mean, you could count them just on their fingertip. Whereas some other people, they were busy, I mean, or milling around, and even with allegations, look, we are paying so that we collect. Some would say they've stayed there for about 4 hours without collecting. But in the southeast, as you said, truly, I think that something is fundamentally wrong there. Yes, the Civil War has come. Yes, they said there has to be that integration and a reconstruction and a reconciliation. But if the Southeasterner is feeling that that has not been done effectively, and you feel, look, we ought to have the presidency. Now you have Peter Obi, who indeed, I don't know, outside Zik, in the Igbo, of the Igbo extraction, outside Zik, who indeed is having this kind of do I call it, around the federation kind of reception. It may not be 100%, but you see that there is nowhere Obi will go that you don't see a crowd around him. I remember when they were doing SDP NRC, and at that time, some candidates were, aspirants rather, were going to some states. And I remember somebody went to Katsina State and got 1 vote. I mean, but now you have Peter Obi. If the Igbos have been saying they'll be marginalized, we need the presidency and all that. Now you have somebody who is coming up so strong. Why is the Igbo man saying no? And you still find some Yorubas rather rallying support for Peter Obi.
Okay, so,
so it has to, the Igbo thinking has to change when it comes to this federation.
How do we boost people's confidence to really come out to get these PVCs? Because sometimes, look at the pictures. If the MCR could put up the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper there, you'd see the pictorial there showing you the massive turnout in the Federal Capital Territory, for instance, people coming out to get their PVCs. And I can bet that at the end of the day, perhaps not up to half of these people that came out will be able to get their PVCs. You know, so if you look at that, are we making adequate arrangements really to ensure that we get this PVC seamlessly. Sometimes you go to some of the places, you see that they are understaffed. Not enough people to attend to voters, prospective voters. Let me put it that way. And then sometimes even if they have the numbers, maybe they do not have the systems to work with and all that. So I don't know. How do we navigate?
Yeah, you see, since it's just about collecting voters' card, if elections will come and they said, let us have some ad hoc staff, which are recruited and they do the elections effectively, help to conduct the elections effectively. What is wrong in having also this ad hoc staff in terms of voter card distribution? It's a thing that could be done easily. And if at the point you feel, okay, in so areas, look, go to so primary school, go to so secondary school, not necessarily the point at which you registered, but within the area. If, for example, in Wuse, for example, there are 2 or 3 secondary schools, I mean, those in Zone 1, go to Soso Primary School in Zone 1. Those in Zone 4, go to Soso Primary School in Zone 4. If you decentralize it that way, or you make it a massive kind of a thing, massive deployment, I think the collection will be that easy. But if we make it a situation where people will leave their offices, go queue, leave their work, some will say, after all, what am I getting? And you are seeing this big crowd because of the kind of campaigns that have taken place. Campaign of religious angle, Muslim ticket, campaign, okay, it's time for Igbos to have this, campaign against PDP, campaign against APC, and there's this massive awareness. People going for these cards to ensure that their vote will really count. But again, the INEC, like I said, if they do massive recruitment of ad hoc staff, they have the list of those who have helped to conduct elections. Just call them, mobilize them and say, come, you're going to help in terms of catch distribution. And that will be done easily. But if they make it to sound like it's a favor, then there's a problem.
All right, well, let's move slightly away from that. Something that's been generating lots of debate now, even though it's been overshadowed by politics, is Nigeria's power sector. It's always been a problem. We had the privatization, we had new discourse come in. At the end of the day, investors were thrown out, banks took over. And we're hearing the minister saying that Nigeria now supplies 8,000 megawatts of electricity, which means generation is not a problem. And then with the Nation newspaper now is saying that the banks that have actually taken over this discourse have been given the marching order to sell the shares that they actually have. How sure are we, or do you feel that if these shares are sold to other investors, we will not find ourselves in the same situation that we find ourselves now? Because they were sold before, and now we're in this situation. Yeah,
you see, there's something in business circle they call insider trading.
Okay.
When they unbundled NEPA at that time, break it into generating, GenCos, distribution, discourse, marketing, transmission, and all of that. Who are the buyers? These were people who also sat down. They were part of those who laid down the laws, the methods of selling, and how much it should be. And they turn out again to be part of the buyers. So you see the thing you call insider trading, they know everything, and of course it's like you set the examination question and you go and answer the question again, and of course tell me how you will fail. So the fear is when you say we'll cancel this one, set up another, I mean, you are still going to do with this or deal with the same set of people. Honesty has traveled too far from Nigerians, many of them. Honesty,
perhaps it's
very far.
It's time for us to recall it's back
honestly
to the country, because we need it now more than ever.
Sure.
All right, let's take a look at other stories. Mass rallies on local government autonomy to hold on Tuesday. This issue of local government autonomy is becoming, like, in fact, like a sing-song right now. A lot of debates, some for and some for against, you know, and we've seen this constitutional review, and sometimes when it even gets to the subnational level, it doesn't get the reception that you will think it should get. So where do we move? Where do we go from here? And this rally, to what extent will it change anything?
How do we move? Where do we move? Your questions. The fear of a sitting governor is the beginning of wisdom to some lawmakers, senators, House of Reps members, and even the state assemblies. The governors tend to pocket almost all of them in the state. If you think you are so vibrant at the national level here in Abuja, then you go back to base and meet the governor. When you think you are a vibrant speaker of our state assembly, look, we need autonomy for the local governments. Of course, the governor will engineer your colleagues and they impeach you. Because the governors, via what you call this joint account, are still holding on to the jugular veins of the local government, the main existence of the local governments. So we expect that as campaigns are going on, if you are a sitting governor and you want to go for a second term, can you make it a priority? Vote and simply say, and I challenge people, let us know, the governor that will say, vote for me and you have local government autonomy. I've not heard, have you had it? I don't know. Tell me. And when you now have a mega rally to support this, of course, rallies are free.
Why does it seem like the state assemblies are not buying into some of these things?
Because they fear the lion that is lying down, and that's the governor. Tell me, when President Buhari said, look, when, for example, there is money given, 100 million here in Abuja, they move, the governor takes 50 million. Then he says, local government, take this one, go and pay salaries and take care of your visitors. No development, which is true. Where have you seen even feeder roads being done by local governments? None. Is it markets that is supposed to be the purview of local governments? You see that the state governors have taken charge of that. Is it dispensaries that are supposed to be for local governments? Healthcare centers, it's supposed to be for local governments. But you see the states have taken care of that, have snatched it. When general hospitals are supposed to be for the states. And so, whole lot of, primary schools, they've snatched all of that. So, too many things. Forestry, name it, that is supposed to be with the local government. So, if they were to have this autonomy, I tell you, this insecurity, the local government will absorb quite a lot of people and employ them in various facets of local government lives. And from there, those they cannot absorb, the state governments will take charge of that. And if the local governments have not been able to absorb some, then they now come to the federal. But today, every accusing finger goes to the national government. The president has failed. The president has failed. When indeed, tell me, today governors of different political parties are fighting politically as political enemies. When the president brought executive order giving the state assemblies the autonomy, giving local governments autonomy, not just autonomy, financial autonomy. The whole governors, irrespective of political parties, became one and a single force against the president. And they went to the Supreme Court and they defeated the president. So if they defeated the president and the Supreme Court says, Mr. President, you can't be a member of the executive and be a lawmaker. By having this executive order, it means you've created a law. So you can't occupy two places. It's not a military rule. So we expect that as presidential candidates are going around this federation, they should also make it their front burner. Take it as a flag bearer to say, vote for me. Local government autonomy is assured. So when you say there will be massive employment, tell me the massive. when indeed local government authority local governments are not
there's also
having autonomy.
There's also the need for the people to actually pressure lawmakers at all levels, both at the national and at the subnational level, to actually make sure that they commit to this, because at the end of the day, like you said, the president at the executive level, or the, you know, maybe having limited powers to actually make sure that some of these things happen.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And I still remember when there was this media visitations, early days of this present democracy. When you went to Kano State, that time, local governments controlled their money. You could see projects for local governments begging to be inspected.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, we have to go. Thank you so much for your perspectives on the program this morning. We look forward to having you again.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a short breather now, and then when we return, we'll take a look at other issues on the program. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that they look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. and it's Daybreak on Trust TV. Top of the hour, and the show keeps rolling on. And, well, we'll go straight now to take the headlines at the top of the hour. Atiku celebrates Wike at 55 amid lingering differences.
Yuletide. FG permits Nigerians with expired passport to return home.
Reps give NNPC others 1 week to end fuel scarcity.
All right, here goes the details. Now, the former vice president and presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has extended goodwill message to the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, on his 55th birthday. The former vice president praised that all lines fall in pleasant places for the governor. He wrote, quote, "As you turn 55 today, I pray that all lines fall in pleasant places for you. Enjoy your special day." Wike had contested during the PDP presidential primary won by Atiku.
Now, the federal government of Nigeria has approved that Nigerians returning home can be admitted into the country with their expired Nigerian passports. This is contained in a letter from the Controller General of Immigration Service, Isa Jerry Idris, addressed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and dated 9th December 2022. All heads of missions, immigration attachés, airport controllers, and airlines were copied in the letter with reference number NIS-CGI FD20820 and signed by the DCI BM Lowell, Special Assistant to the Controller General of Immigration Service Foreign Desk. The fast-track passport process for this Yuletide season commenced a few weeks ago with the opening of passport offices on Saturday. The NIS said the group of people have until 31st January 2023 to enjoy this service.
All right, now the House of Representatives has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other regulatory agencies to end the lingering fuel scarcity in 1 week to ease the suffering of Nigerians. The order followed the adoption of motion of urgent public importance by Saidu Musa Abdullahi at plenary on Tuesday. He said that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority advanced several excuses to justify the fuel scarcity. He lamented that while the fuel scarcity is hitting petroleum stations of some major marketers that are currently selling fuel on government-related price, some independent marketers have enough petroleum products selling at unregulated prices. He added that most of such filling stations had resulted in selling fuel at over 300 naira per litre. It further called on the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission to collaborate with the Nigerian Police Force and the DSS to ensure that fuel is sold at the regulated price and in all retail outlets. The House mandates its committees on petroleum resources and legislative compliance to ensure compliance.
All right, now it's time for us to take a look at some reports this hour. Early child education, according to educators, helps build a child's cognitive, physical, social and emotional proficiency, which will prepare them for life's challenges, which shows its importance. Now, in this report, Noel Samson looks at how important early education is and ways it could be improved in the country. Take a look.
Children who are enrolled in an early childhood education program are believed to achieve more success at school. As adults, they are said to have better career opportunities, improved health, and lower level of dependency and crime rates than those who do not attend an early education program. Hence, the need for it to be encouraged.
Early childhood education is the most important of all the stages of education, because it's at that point that children form the foundation and the basis for learning. And so education is not just about school, it's about learning. So they do both in school and out of school learning. So for me, any serious nation, any serious institution must invest in early childhood education, because if you get it wrong there, then the foundation is actually destroyed. So there's really nothing you can do there. In
Nigeria, many are divided on the issue of accessibility to early childhood education.
Basic education to an average Nigerian is not as accessible as it should be, because we have cases of the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is like 19.3 million. We have one of the highest numbers.
Basic education is accessible to all Nigerians. That is why government take it as pain upon them to build schools all over the places. You know, from a pole to another pole or a village to a village, you must see primary school there.
Some Nigerians suggest ways in which it could be made more accessible.
Government is on it already. Basic education can be accessible to all. One, by making the primary school education free for every child.
We have discovered that this homegrown school feeding, you understand, it has really increased the enrollment of pupils in our schools. So this is an instrument that has even actually helped pupils to increase their enrollment.
One of the major things we can do to make early childhood education more accessible in Nigeria is to actually even invest. Or first thing is to admit that there's a problem in that sector, because it seems like nobody's looking at that side of education. And so first is to admit, second is to deliberately plan programs, and also to support even NGOs doing the work around early childhood education, for instance, to encourage them to do more work.
A child's early years are the foundation for his or her future development and provide a strong base for lifelong learning and learning abilities. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
All right, let's take a look at some political stories now. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has pledged to address security and economic challenges bedeviling the North if elected in 2023. Tinubu made the pledge during a presidential rally in Kaduna on Tuesday. The report.
Addressing the party supporters at the Kaduna rally, the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu said, addressing the challenges of the North will enable the region witness development in all spheres.
To remain loyal to our country, you will never regret it. Inshallah, all those troublemakers, violent kidnappers, killers, all troublemakers, I assure you, we will eliminate them.
Earlier, the chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, and the director general of the APC presidential campaign and governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, urged people of the Northwest and the North in general to vote APC for economic prosperity of the region. For prosperity, development, and security of the North, I urge all of you to vote for APC and Aswaju in 2023 election for the continuation of the good work started by President Muhammadu Buhari. Aswaju has the capacity and the competency to lead the nation. He has good plans for women and youth. National chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, handed over flags to presidential candidate of the party, Bola Tinubu, Kaduna APC governorship candidate Obasani, and other candidate of the State and National Assembly. Security agencies and vigilante groups were deployed in and around the venue of the rally to ensure the safety of the crowd. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And still talking politics, the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has pledged to restore peace and improved economic activities in Plateau State. Abubakar, who made this known on Tuesday at the presidential rally of the PDP in Jos, also said if elected, he would ensure his administration sees to the reconstruction of federal roads linking Plateau and other neighboring states. Ado Musa completes the story.
The presidential rally, which held at the Ruampan Stadium, drew supporters of the party from within and outside the states, including some PDP governors. While addressing party supporters, Atiku said if elected president, he will restore peace and confidence in the state.
I have been a resident in this state for the past 28 years. We have promised that we will restore peace in this state. We will also revamp the economy of this state. We will also make sure this state is connected to the neighboring states as far as the road infrastructures are concerned. APC has neglected all the roads connecting Plateau with other states in the country. We promise, because you are a PDP state, we promise we will make sure these roads are rehabilitated. We will revamp the economy. We will bring about peace and prosperity, particularly to our young men and women.
In his remark, the PDP national chairman, Iocha Ayu, called on the people of the state to vote PDP to rebuild the country.
By the people of Nigeria, and that is you. When you left PDP, PDP left you, and you started suffering. Do you want PDP to come back? Will you live again? And therefore, I want to thank you for coming out in such large numbers, because this party is going to rebuild the party and rebuild the country.
Various dignitaries at the rally, including governors, also affirmed that if Atiku voted into power, he will ensure that peace, infrastructure, and other economic activities are top priorities of his administration. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
All right, now still staying with political stories, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, has again said that if voted to power next year, his administration will move Nigeria from a consumer to a producer nation. Peter Obi disclosed this on Tuesday while addressing supporters during a campaign rally at the Conference Stadium, Lokoja, in Kogi State. The Labour Party presidential candidate stated that it is a promise he has vowed to keep once he assumes power via the forthcoming presidential election in the country. Obi added that his team is not in the state to buy votes, but to tell the voters how he is prepared to save the country. However, he promised to ensure that the moribund federal government iron and steel industry at Ajaokuta is revived to give strong backing to the economy.
Now, as high cost of living continues to take tolls deep into people's earnings, residents of Kano who cannot afford Irish potatoes that cost much and find alternatives now in sweet potatoes. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril reports that Irish potatoes have jumped to as high as 130,000 naira per bag, compared to 11,000 naira for the sweet potato. His report.
This is called Yankaba Market in Kano, from where Irish potato arrives by the truckloads. But not anymore, as traders say its price has gone as high as 130,000 naira per bag, the worst in over 30 years. Honestly, the business of Irish potato is not going well these days, both between the buyers and the sellers. Everything is terrible. But people are talking about because of the high cost of diesel that we use in transporting the Irish from different parts of the country, that contributed to make it even worse. And then it's not its season. I can tell you that as of last week, we sold one bag of Irish potato at the cost of 110,000 naira. But today, as I'm talking to you, we are selling one bag at the cost of 130,000 naira. But with the high cost of Irish potato, the Dakata sweet potato market is now booming, as the products arrives here by the truckloads on daily basis. The price here is cheaper, and traders say it's affordable. You know, the price of sweet potato is seasonal. Before now, we used to sell it at 7,000, 6,000, and even 8,000. But nowadays, we are selling it at about between 8,000, 9,000, 11,000, up to 12,000, depending on how it comes from the farm. Sweet potato is sold at between 10 to 11,000 naira per bag, compared to about 7,000 naira before now. And it can go in quantity as low as 100 naira, depending on what the buyers want. Sweet potato that you are seeing, I have that of 300 naira, 200 naira, 100 naira. But that of 100 naira has been sold. They have already bought it out. Although sweet potato is cheaper, but with the Irish potato becoming more and more scarce and highly expensive, there are growing concerns that the price of sweet potato could equally go high in the next coming days. Idris Jibril, Trust TV News, Kano.
All right, now let's take a short breather, and then when we return, Daybreak continues. Join us again. All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak on Trust Television. Time for us to take a look at the next discussion on the program. Now, for some time now, the southeast region of the country has been grappling with insecurity occasioned by the activities of unknown gunmen targeting residents, security operatives, and public infrastructure. As the general election is fast approaching, the possibility of the exercise not taking place in the southeast can be said to be dicey due to the feelings of apprehension that there could be a crisis during the polls, which would start on February 25th, 2023, even though the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies in the country have promised to ensure a crisis-free election is conducted. We'll be talking about this, and we have in the studio Mr. Mike Ejiofor. He is a retired director of Department of State Service or Security, and also you have Ambassador Chibuzo Okereke. He's also the convener, Political Equity Movement of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning. Now, the tension in the southeastern part of the country is, gradually, I would say, becoming more like a threat to democracy in Nigeria. INEC offices, especially in the southeastern part of the country, have been attacked severally. In fact, in the last 4 months, we've seen 8 attacks. In the last 3 years, INEC is talking about 53 attacks. And a lot of staff here and there of INEC have been attacked in some way, and the rest of them, and it has continued unabated. What are we not doing right? Let me start with you, Mike Ejiofor. What are we not doing as far as taming that issue is concerned?
I would rather not answer what are we not doing, but what are we doing? Is a source of worry. The threat, coming up in the southeast. Why we're more worried is that virtually all the geopolitical zones have its own security threat. But a situation where INEC facilities now and the public facilities like the correctional service, you recall the correctional service was attacked in Imo State. We have correctional service attacked here in Kuje. We also have in Osun, almost the same day, Osun and Ogun State, where INEC facilities were attacked. So it cuts across, but the problem where we're worried, I want to possibly segregate the attacks. If you look at the attacks in other parts of the country, like the Southwest, and before 2015 in the Northeast, Boko Haram, which also says that they don't want Western or democracy. One can understand that. But in the Southeast, in the Southwest, you have politically motivated burning of INEC facilities. But in the Southeast, for whatever reason, nobody has been able to identify this group of people masquerading under criminals masquerading under the name of IPOB. I say this with all sense of responsibility because the leader of, even as at yesterday, the leader of IPOB, who is in incarceration, has condemned these attacks and that these are not part of the people. You know, there's somebody called, what's his name now?
But is it really that easy for IPOB to disassociate itself from these attacks, given the fact that they've taken a stand about, you know, their agitation, the ones for a breakaway, you know, from the country, and how they do not believe in the system, you know, in the country and all that?
Everybody has a right to agitate. But what these criminal elements, I call them, are doing, if you want a state of Biafra, for instance, you should go there, you agitate, it's your right. But a situation where you are killing your people, how do you justify that? Killing your own people that you are struggling for, burning down property. Well, if they are concentrated on government facilities, you know, to further push their demands, one can understand that. But the situation where you kidnap your people that you are agitating for, you are struggling for, you are killing them.
Maybe it's a strategy to put fear in the people.
It's a wrong strategy. I don't look at it
so
as
that people will comply each time they say, hey, don't go there, don't do this.
No.
Sit at home, don't go anywhere.
It's a very wrong strategy because you recall that when Boko Haram started its own agitation, they were not virtually, they were targeting public facilities, burning down facilities. You remember the attack on the United Nations and all this. So you can press your demands for that. But a situation where you kill the people you are struggling for, it doesn't make any sense. The man in Finland, what's he called? Ekpa. He's not in Nigeria.
Simon Ekpa.
Simon Ekpa. Instigating people. Okay, he is in Finland, talking about sit at home, you know, in the southeast. And the leader of the group has said he's not part of this sit down. And these criminal elements will seize that opportunity to possibly wreak havoc and collect money. I am also very happy with the incident of yesterday or 2 days ago. You know, the people who came to attack the INEC facility, the headquarters, you know, some of them were killed, and I'm happy we had some arrests made, which will now serve as a lead, you know, investigation to let us be able to identify the people behind this, their sponsors. Are they really working for IPOB, or they're just criminal elements trying to enrich themselves?
You know, I'm wondering, how is it that one person will have, a person will have such influence who is not even in Nigeria, having such influence to be able to sort of give directives or orders from wherever he is, and things happen?
Well,
yes,
okay.
if you can respond to that.
Well, I think that I will speak to the issues, approaching it from the issue of political economy. What is the political economy of Nigerian election? It's a winner takes it all game. And the most important currency this period is the PVC. Unfortunately, we are not deploying enough intelligence and action to tackle these things. I'll tell you this, INEC offices are the most unprotected government facility in Nigeria, only second to maybe public schools. Yet, it's the most important place to deliver electoral democracy. And that is why I say we are joking, because what is happening in the Southeast, for instance, as far as I'm concerned, until investigations show otherwise, is simply criminal and politically motivated. I tell you, where are the criminals? That's the question we have to ask. Where are the people who used to rob marketers and traders on the road? Are you saying they have repented? They have become the new kidnappers. We are not just studying the trends of insecurity and knowing how to nip it. For election purposes, we know that since technology was deployed, PVC have become important, voters have become important. So reaching out and attacking those facilities have become very crucial for those who want to win by all means. And it's just a means of putting fear in people. You saw the Anambra election, only about less than 10%. So this is the kind of thing some politicians want, because they know what massive turnout will mean, and they deploy people to, to do that. So I think that it's not about somebody, when you talk about the person giving instruction, it's damaging. on the economy of the Southeast, yes. But there are other underlying intervening variables that is making it look like people are complying. For instance, somebody's phone had issue on Saturday. He was only able to fix it on Tuesday because on Monday, nobody could go to anywhere to do anything. And all the things he was supposed to do throughout that weekend till Monday did not happen. A lot of things suffered. So that thing is damaging, and I don't think anybody in Southeast should comply with anything. When Nnamdi Kanu, for instance, was around, we saw the kind of movement they were doing, from state to state, marching without any destruction of anything. They will move from one place to another in a convoy. They won't even destroy anything. But again, when you have sit-at-home orders, criminals take advantage. I keep telling people that criminals have not all repented. They are still operating. And these sit-at-home orders and what have you, as instruments for them to operate. They are the ones who come burning things and what have you. But again, the political class must take, INEC does not have the capacity to protect its facility. This is the truth. We have SPU, policemen, and DSS in different business facilities because those people can pay. If you go to some INEC office in the local government, you can't even step a foot because it's overtaken by grass. During an election, they will now come and clear pathway. It's an important facility, and we are not taking it as serious as that.
All right. Well, talking about taking things seriously, Mr. Mike, let me come to you, and I want you to come at this from the perspective of a Southeasterner, that is, not as a security expert. We have heard there have been cries of marginalization from the Southeast for a very long time. And right now, as it is, there is a very serious concern that elections might not hold, or even if they do, will be very, very disrupted in the Southeast, which means a lot of people, a lot of Southeasterners will not have their voices heard. How far back will this set the Southeastern agenda for reintegration or non-marginalization that they have been clamoring for a very long time?
Yeah, a point of correction, my name is Ejofo.
Okay.
I am from South.
Oh, okay. Sorry about
Southeast.
Okay.
But I'm an Igbo man.
Okay.
So I am concerned with what is going on in the Southeast. Because if you want all-inclusive government, we must be playing the agenda of integration, must playing that agenda of inclusiveness. People have right to agitate. I'm not looking at it at a security viewpoint now. I'm talking of the views of the Southeasterners. Look at the structure of the security architecture. No single Igbo man is involved in the security. So these are areas, people look at and say, well, we're excluded. Since after the war. Since 1999, the Southeast has not produced the president of this country. Although, under Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan, they occupy some positions, some strategic positions, but it is not that executive position. These are appointments, So we need to. That's why at times I hear these politicians talking of restructuring. We've been hearing these restructuring issues, fiscal restructuring, and all this. At the end of the day, when they get there, nobody talks about the restructuring.
Well, Mr. Mike, here's the issue. We've heard this saying everywhere, and it is constantly being re-echoed and repeated and the rest of them, that political power is not served in restaurants, it's not served a la carte, right?
That's true.
So what effort is the Southeast making to be integrated in the politicking of the country, in the political process of the country? If the Southeast talk about marginalization, here is a time where many Nigerians believe that there have never been a time such as this, where you have an Igbo candidate on the ballot that is mobilizing the kind of support that he is mobilizing right now. And yet we see that his base that is supposed to be the major support base is tearing itself apart.
I think we are mixing up the whole thing. See, the Igbos by nature are Republicans. And the person you are talking of with followership is not even a Southeast candidate. He's a Nigerian candidate. That's what people, his followership cuts across the whole country. You know, but whether he's going to win the election is a different ball game. But I want us to make this thing clear. That is not an Igbo candidate.
That's a fact. He's not an Igbo candidate. But one would expect that, you know, given the cries about marginalization, about the non-inclusivity of the, you know, the Southeast in the politicking of the country, isn't it the more reason why the Igbo nation or the Southeast should rally behind, you know, the candidate who is seen to be, I mean, who happens to be an Igbo candidate and is in the ballot?
Let me tell you something. Democracy does not work that way. And that is why I align myself with the thought he's sharing. You see, there's no candidate in any democracy that you can say enjoys the support of all of his people. Whether it was when President Buhari was contesting, he did it for 4 times, you know, before he emerged. Whether it was Jonathan, Yar'Adua, Obasanjo, you see all these things happening. You see, when you talk about it, these are elite constructs. And there's the difference between politics, governance, and leadership. At the National Political Equity Movement, we have always said that when merit are equal, justice will prevail and equity. And that calls for national leadership. The issue of inclusion is not achieved by politicking, because politics is a matter of interest. When you hear all those people talk about the Southeast and all that, even if anything comes to Southeast, somebody will take it, and that person takes it and starts serving the person who appointed him, not necessarily the Southeastern people. That is why the leadership of the country, the power brokers, who want to build an inclusive and progressive country, we come together and say, no, in the nature of our country, the way our country is founded and constructed, the optics are very important. Symbolism of unity is very important. And in doing that, we need to cut across every geopolitical zone in the country. And that's why you see some very elderly people saying, no, this is the time that Southeast should produce president. It's not as if Southeast produce president now, there will be transformation in the Southeast. No, because the current president, his own, has the highest number of multidimensionally poor people in the country. So, but what that symbolizes is that there is a kind of recognition of the various parts of the country for us to move forward. In doing that, we must also look at capacity, competence, to be able to deliver on the mandate of your office. So, and I don't also think that the Southeasterners are not supporting the candidate. They are massively supporting the candidate. Unfortunately, it's not because of where he's coming from. That is what is different in this time. It is because of the person, his antecedent, and the kind of thing he has done in the past. And that is why you see it's not only people from the Southeast that believe in him. But I say election has consequences. This is the truth. And that is why the president announced when he won that 95% will not function as 5%. And I agree with him to an extent, because there are consequences for election. But when you move from politics to governance, then you can assume that you expect a leader to be fair and just to all.
Okay, Mr. Mike, how do we boost the confidence of prospective voters, Nigerians who are now going to the PVC collection centers to get their PVCs, especially in the southeastern part of the country? What kind of deployment should we be doing to guarantee safety and to make the process seamless?
This question you asked now is a very serious question, but the way I approach it, collecting PVCs is critical for our democratic governance. Exercising your right is another process. Now, collect your PVC. the politicians, you know, at this point, I think I must commend the government, you know, its seriousness and transparency in ensuring that we'll have credible election. What do I mean? The president, from his body language, has said so, that he wants to hand over a credible election that is devoid of all these flaws. The INEC has come to assure Nigerians that they are also going to make sure, by deployment of beavers and the federal government, the fiscal policy now on board, limiting cash flow, you know, is another impediment. So the politicians are now frustrated. They are doing everything possible to see how they can manipulate the process. And manipulating the process is going to be very difficult. That is why I say, from now on, we're going to witness, I'm not a pessimist, but from threat analysis and threat analysis, we're going to witness more violence in terms of attack on rallies, attack on opponents, attack on individuals. Because there's no more time that you come and carry ballot box or you sit down to write figures. So these are the checks that the politicians are...
So you would say that the focus has shifted, the focus and the tendencies for manipulation has shifted from the day of election to before the election is conducted.
Absolutely, because the people, you now win at the polling unit. You know, you win at the polling unit, and that simply means there is nobody that is going to be in any hotel and use palm kernels to you know, put on any ballot, but because, you know, the real voters are going to be accredited on that day, and you vote as you're being accredited, and you need your agents to be there to monitor it. There's still human factor. It's not as if we are there already, because the human factor can change any technology, right? But in terms of PVC collection that you talked about, I think that the unfortunate thing is that there is no capacity and funding for INEC to deploy, for people to get their PVC. This is the truth. And we must have to fund and resource INEC, because INEC is the only body in Nigeria that has all the polling units and politicians and political parties across the country. Most Nigerians don't even know where polling units are. So it is possible for either at the ward level or polling unit level for INEC to organize PVC distribution day, because it's the closest to the people to access it. This announcement we're making on air and all that is good, but it just informs people. It doesn't bring people. But if there's an activity, a PVC collection day in the ward or polling unit, people will know. The town criers will announce.
So aside the announcement, yes, we seem to have logistical challenges here and there, and sometimes it frustrates the whole process and make people, you know, unwilling to even turn out really to get these PVCs, because if you look at how tough it could get, you know, a picture on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning shows us the massive turnout of people, and then sometimes you do not see that. It looks like INEC does not have the ad hoc staff, so we do not see the kind of massive deployment that happens when we are going into an election done when PVC collection is being done and all that. Should we perhaps consider, you know, making such provisions when we are distributing?
Like the day before yesterday, we should have done that day before yesterday, not even today. What you're saying now is exactly the thought I'm sharing. During an election, there is massive deployment. This is about money, 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 money. INEC needs the money. They need the support and partnership. So anything other than deploying at ward and the polling unit level will not work. Just 73 days to election. Local government level cannot even work, because people will collapse there. There will be stampede, because people have trust in the new electoral act that it could help them to deliver in a credible candidate. People also believe that they have some people in the ballot that have mobilized them enough, giving them confidence to participate in the process. So they will go all out, like what we saw during the registration. During the collection, it will even be worse. And unfortunately, we are deploying old method to share PVC. It doesn't make sense. Somebody needs to talk to the presidents, and if they are listening, I believe they should monitor all these flagship political programs across all stations. There need to be an emergency or supplementary budget intervention for whatever it is to rally stakeholders, to decentralize this process. I strongly say that distributing at local government level will not work and serve the purpose. We must go back. Let me even shock you. In some villages, we still have people or local government who still have stakeholders collecting PVC for people in their numbers. That shouldn't be, and that is because it is not decentralized. And that should happen
but
immediately.
The current arrangement says that the collection starts at the local government secretariats and then move to the wards level, and then back to
you see, we are in this country, you and I. It's not what is said, that if it's like that, by now, Nigeria will be in the top 20 economy in the world. It is not what they intend to do that is the issue. It is what is being done. It starts at local government level. How many days is given, for instance? Is it more than 7 or 10 days? At what point will you move from local? Who are the people that will go to local government level? And who are those that will go? Why do we need to go from local? Why don't we just go to where the people are and do it?
Yeah, I think I want to buttress the point he's making. Every voter knows his polling unit because that's where they registered.
Yeah.
So it would have been more appropriate for INEC to deploy even ad hoc staff to the various polling units as we do during voting, during the election, so that they distribute. Everybody will not come. So people who did not come to the ward level, yes, the ward level is a distance. Not many people will have time to do that. But if you have that you are ascribed 2 days to the polling units, 2 days to the polling, and adequate publicity is given, I'm sure a lot of people will go and collect their voters' cards. I collected mine yesterday, and reports were getting...
On self-recognition.
No, not necessarily. No. I must be fair to them, Reports were, except, we monitor news too. Many people seamlessly go to that place and collect their cards. But I saw a situation in Bayelsa when it was not properly organized. A lot of people scrambling and, people just not organized. So in some areas, you collect your card seamlessly. In other areas, it becomes almost impossible. In fact, I also want INEC to look at the issue without even stigmatizing that in Lagos, for instance, you bring your name, you are from a particular area, they tell you they cannot find your card. They cannot find your voter's card. Thereby disenfranchising the people. So they need to look into these allegations to ensure that but they need to decentralize, for people to effectively collect their.
All right. So let's bring this back now to the southeast and the current situation. No matter how much mobilization goes into it, no matter how we try to localize the collection of these PVCs, definitely it will be disrupted if we have people on the streets carrying guns telling people to stay at home. Are we doing enough currently to make sure that this doesn't happen? If not, what do we need to do?
Yeah, for now, we need more intelligence. And I can tell you will never be sufficient, but there's available intelligence on the activities of this unknown gunmen.
Okay.
And I think that was what led to the incident of yesterday in Were, that some of them were killed. And I want to advise that, I think I was on another session yesterday discussing this issue, that there is a need to get those people properly interrogated, to know their sponsors, their aims and objectives, and what they do. It will serve as a lead, to breaking other.
Well, it's like having the intelligence is one thing. Acting on the intelligence is another thing entirely.
Yeah, I agree with you. It then comes issue of capacity of the police. Even if you provide intelligence, what number do we have as policemen? We don't have sufficient policemen. That's a fact. As we speak, the police is less than 300,000. And out of this, in a United Nations, 1 policeman to 400.
But how do we maximize the number? I mean, this is the number that we have right now, and that's how we have to
even
work
out
with
of
it.
that, you have over 100,000 deployed to dignitaries, protecting them. So police is handicapped. They don't have. So what I would suggest, especially on the specific question you asked of the Southeast, there is need for proper deployment. There must be a major operation before the election in the Southeast to fish out these criminal elements so that we'll have a free, fair. At least what is happening to people is that the purpose of these elements is to instill fear. And once you hear, don't come out. That fear, it's survival instinct. The thing is for people to sit at home. It's not because they want to obey it, but for their own safety, they decide to stay at home. So we need to carry a surgical operation in that area to fish out these criminal elements, build confidence of the people on part of government. Otherwise, it's going to be disrupted. And I think it was about 2 years ago that I made this forecast that if the situation continues like this, we might not have an election, especially in the Southeast. It's not only in the Southeast. Like I said, the activities of politicians, some of them are going now. So we're not looking at only the threat in the Southeast. The politicians, some of them are buying up voters' cards in strongholds of their opponents to deprive them of going. And with the fiscal policy we are talking of, you can no longer move cash. But they're also trying to thwart it by appointing coordinators. But the mistake they're making is that they will easily be tracked. They're appointing coordinators, transferring money to them with account details, where you will now begin to transfer to those people. You'll be able to explain to the regulatory agencies like what business you have that you'll be transferring money to people and all this. So it's going to be easier.
Number.
All right. All right. Ambassador Chibuzo, to what extent do you think that this will affect the credibility of the outcome of the 2023 general elections, especially in the southeastern part of the country? This issue of violence and the turnout and the rest of them?
Well, Southeast have always recorded low turnout. And the reason are beyond insecurity. It's like Mr. Mike said, these are Republicans. I'm from there. And an average Southeastern person, his business is more important to him, especially when they have seen that the political leadership and governance has not delivered anything. But again, that is a mistake. And some of us are telling them politics is very important. It affects even that business that you go to do and not vote, because that business can be wiped out by a single policy of government. And therefore, you need to participate in electing those who will make policies that affect your business, your family. And even if your business is thriving, what about the education of your children? What about the health care of your family? And so, in any way you look at it, politics affect our lives. And you cannot leave it and say, you are not feeding me, therefore, why will I waste my time to go and cure? That is a psychological mistake that is being made in the Southeast. My charge is that everybody should now realize that that councillor, that local government chairman, that House of Assembly member, House of Rep member, senator, and the governor and president, they are important to our daily lives. And the hours you spend collecting PVC or investing in queuing up to vote is an investment into your future. It's not a waste of time. And you must prove that we have the capacity to mobilize and elect people legitimately. Because what we saw in Anambra, if you put it to research, they will tell you that the sample size is not enough for us to have a legitimate, governor. We need to raise the bar and come out en masse to at least 50 to 60% and vote, because you need it. And we must invest politically. That's another thing. Politics costs money. We must not allow the interlocking class, the elite, to be the one sponsoring politicians. Because when they do, the politicians will not come to serve you. So communities must put resources together, do some things for themselves. It's wrong for a politician to print T-shirt for you, pay you to wear it, transport you to rally. Everything he has spent money coming from another big man. When he wins, he will first of all look for how to sort out those people all over the world. In the just concluded Georgia senatorial election, they spent $81 million. People brought it because they want the senator to vote on certain policies. In Nigeria, nothing seems to be on the ballot for the people. That is the challenge, because there's no ideology. But I hope we cross that bridge.
All right. Well, that's a very important point to end the discussion here. We have to go because of time. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Mike Ejiofor, retired Director of Department of State Security and also the convener, Political Equity Movement of Nigeria, Ambassador Chibuzo Okereke. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you.
All right, that's our show for today. In case you have missed, you can always catch up across all our social media platforms, and also you can watch us live on YouTube, and that's 247. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
All right, let's do this all again tomorrow on Daybreak right here on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.